Okay. All right. So
Okay, yeah, I'm glad I could wear
Janisha,
my hat too.
I know you had. But Janisha, I'm so happy to have you here. So, my dear friend, and you also interviewed me for when the book came out in 2024 when Undiplomatic came out at 12/29 here in DC. But what I'm doing is for the year anniversary, I'm kind of talking just people I like. It's very just like just conversations, reflections of a year later. Um, that I'm doing super low key, super casual. I have about 15 of them. So they're going to be
I know,
dropped
back to
all
back.
throughout the month of April.
Okay.
And so Janisha, it's so good to be in conversation with you because I love you so much. But my first question
Thank
is how
you.
you're feeling today. How you doing?
Well, first, thanks. I feel honored that you included me in this, so thank you. And, and how do I feel? Okay, so and I'm also a little awkward, so I
That
don't know
me
how
too.
much, I don't know how much of
You
this you're gonna
fine.
edit down, but I get real
Probably
awkward
none.
and stuff.
I don't do all that. I listen, I record, I'm gonna upload it. I don't know how to do all that.
Because I'm real awkward on this, but and then also the question that you said how I'm doing. I'm doing all right. It's hard. I mean, it's
Mhm.
tough. I mean, you know how difficult it is to write memoirs from young
Yes, yes,
writing
yes.
about like very personal stuff, but
Hmm.
it's tough.
Hmm.
It's everything that you described. I think yeah,
Hmm.
a year ago what you talked about.
Yeah.
It's about being like vulnerable.
Yeah, you have to be. And so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about you and tell us a little about what you're writing. And where are you in the process of writing as well?
So you really this is a real interview. Hold on, let me sit
Yeah,
up straight a little
yeah,
bit.
you know.
My goodness. I'm like,
You're
okay.
like,
So,
we're gonna be kicking it. Oh shoot, she got a real I sent you the questions. This is why I
yeah,
sent
you
you
did, you did.
the questions.
So, okay, so I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. I moved to, I graduated, gosh, I forget what, I graduated like 2008, I think, 2007, 2008. And I moved to New York. And in New York, I've always worked in journalism. So
Mhm.
my first job was at Essence magazine. I was
Mhm.
a freelancer. So
I
I've
did not
always,
know that. Okay.
oh yeah, I freelance for a little bit. And like I've always wanted to be in journalism. So like New
Hmm.
York was like the place. And I don't
Right.
think I could be in journalism now. It's like the new New York.
Hmm.
So that's me. Yeah, from Kentucky. Let's see. I've been in DC almost since 2018.
Okay. What
I'm like
brought you to DC?
I'm skipping around. So when I was so I was an editor at ESPN,
Mm.
ESPNW, and then I got a promotion to work at ESPN's The Undefeated, but now it's called Anscape.
Hmm.
They brought me on as the culture editor. So
Okay.
that's what brought me to DC. And then I think like maybe a year later, I think I applied to a position at The Atlantic.
Mm.
This woman, it was a black woman, her name was Jillian White. And I didn't think I was going to really go to The Atlantic, but I mean, I didn't because I really love working with Kevin Merida and
Hmm.
Steve Reese. But Jillian, it was just something about like her vision and her
Mm.
being this like young black woman that
Hmm.
had this big role, this big senior role at the Atlantic that just kind of like sold me on the job.
Yeah.
Ended up
Yeah.
leaving ESPN. I mean, I was terrified. I didn't know what that. I didn't know. I was
Hmm.
terrified. But I left ESPN, and I've been at the Atlantic since 2020. So what is it? What's the 2020?
5 years.
Yeah, almost 5 years. It'd be like 5 years in November.
Wow.
I know
Wow.
it goes by fast.
That's longevity for being in the media field too, 5 years somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, and I know that you tell us a bit about what you do there. I know that you had Janisha from Kentucky, which I love. I
Oh
love.
yeah. Thank
I
you.
didn't know you then when I read that though. That's what she
Oh
said.
yeah. No.
I
Yes.
didn't know
Yes.
you then.
Oh.
And I
But
was
it's
like,
weird because I feel like I've known you like forever.
but I was like, I want to know her. Like, who? Like, I want to know this. Like, it was so good. It was so raw, really. I think because I think that when I came up in writing, I didn't read a lot of stories from Black women who were vulnerable about things like that. And so I read a book called Gal by Ruthie Bolton, and I was so surprised that she like named like some things how she grew up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a real person, who wrote this, and I was first time. And so reading yours, I felt very like more comfortable, I think, like just to talk
Oh,
about things
thank you.
after me. But tell me about Janisha from Kentucky and what you do at the Atlantic.
Yeah, so currently I'm on book leave, so
Hmm.
I'll be back in the office I think in June.
Hmm.
So when I was in the office, I was a senior editor. So I edited like sometimes political pieces, sports. I worked under the ideas section.
Mm,
And sometimes I would like send different ideas for the magazine. So it just varied.
yeah.
And then Jenisha from Kentucky was a personal essay about
Mm,
my life of living in Kentucky and then also moving to New York, but living in two worlds. So basically having a mom who was an addict,
mm,
and also me trying to pretending like, I'm this black girl from the group that had like lived in like attended private school, or
mhm,
my family was a part of like Jack and Jill, and it
mhm,
was just me. It was a lot of me trying to fit in, and it was
mm,
also a lot of me just kind of like tracing or thinking about like meditating on how books in the literary world has kind of impacted me and like kind of shaped my
mhm.
journey into like to kind of where I am right now.
Right.
I would say like the essay is more, I would say it's definitely personal. It's also about my mom, but it's also it's an essay about just the power of words and books
Mhm,
and
mhm.
how education can like truly like transform your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I think about that, and thank you for that, when I think about that and I think about storytelling and I think about preserving our history and preserving our stories, because I think that it's not just the stories that are reserved for like our great icons. I think it's our everyday stories that have to be preserved because, as I always say, the words will outlive us. Like my book is going to outlive me. Like the words are going to be there when I'm gone, right? And so it speaks for us. So I love to hear from you why storytelling is so important. Like just, to you personally and professionally, why it's so important to tell our stories.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think to your point, like what you said is that how the stories live on. And
Hmm.
I also think that it's important to, record our histories and write them in a
Hmm.
way that's like most honest to us. And I think and the thing even with my
Love
story,
that.
like I had, I wrote about my mom's rape.
Mm,
A lot of people didn't want me to write about that. A lot of people didn't want me to, to tell that story because it's,
mm,
like in Black community, it's like airing our dirty laundry. And I
yeah.
think that when we are storytellers or when we in this like business of writing, I think that we are vessels. And I think it's
Mm,
up to us to be to write about the most difficult parts of ourselves.
yeah.
Even if we are embarrassed and ashamed. I
Hmm.
think for me, like I think
Mm,
as an editor, I was just like, how can I tell other people to like, okay, tell me more on this story or tell me more here? And then I can't do the same thing with myself. I can't put the mirror back on myself when I'm writing.
hmm.
I think it's I don't know, I think it's incredibly important, especially now. I mean, with
Yeah.
the way that
Yeah.
we have like book bans and just how complicated history is right now. I think
Yeah.
it's important for us to tell it through our lens.
Yeah. And I think that and thank you for that, being vulnerable, because I think that people who, who read Janisha from Kentucky and who will read the upcoming book that you're writing, they feel they're not alone in whatever it is. And I think that writing Undiplomatic for me, that was, yes, I wanted to just like sell it and want to do all these things, but I also was just like, I want people to not feel alone in some of the things they feel of not being qualified or whatever. And so that's why it is really important for me to get the book out, right? And I think that, when I think about your upcoming, what you have, and I know you're on book leave right now. First of all, how's it going on writing?
Yeah, it's good. Well, I know, and I know you're
Oh,
the interviewer. But one thing I wanted to say is that I think the thing too, the one thing that I loved about Undiplomatic was also your vulnerability, but the thing of how you wrote about such a taboo thing that like
Mhm.
people know about abortion, but like how
Mhm.
you were just like so open in it. And
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you like I appreciate that, and also
Yeah, thank
too
you.
of just putting a face. I think it was something when you say you didn't want to tell like have it like a Cinderella ending.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because it's just like you were able to show us that is different sides of people that
100%.
can make it, and different types of
Mhm.
Black women, you know,
Yeah,
like you can be in these
100%.
different these spaces, but you can also like be Disha,
Yeah.
you know, completely, you
Right,
know.
right. And it was important. And thank you for saying that. 'Cause I think that when I wrote about the abortion, it was really interesting because I knew that was the first time I was telling that publicly, like that I had the abortion. Like, I mean, the photos behind me this way of the Pope when I was taking the
Mhm.
Pope's hand, and I was like, goodness, let me just make it to next week so I can get rid of this baby. Like I was very much like, but I wrote about it also to say that that was my breaking point of imposter syndrome because I was so concerned about like, are people going to find out I had an abortion and I took an extra day off of work? Like, and then I won't be people won't think I'm qualified someday. So it was more of like that was my wake up call of like I'm putting my imposter syndrome and like having to prove myself before my health. Like I'm just scared to take a day off. I'm scared to like, like I need to go right from the abortion to work. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work that way. And so I think that when I wrote about it, I think people wanted it to be a way bigger moment. It was a big moment, don't get me wrong, but I was trying to showcase how imposter syndrome works its way into our physical
Mhm.
our physical being
Mhm.
where we start to neglect our health, our mental and physical health. And for me, that came to an intersection where I was just like, am I like figuring out how to like how many pads I can put on. Like it was
Yeah.
literally like, how can I conceal this and still go to work and be on? And that was hard for me. So I think that I wanted to put a face, I wanted to put a story to that would resonate with people around the health aspects of imposter syndrome, right? So yeah, but thank you for saying that. But back to your book. Back to your book. How's the process been?
It's difficult. It's
Mm,
it's really difficult. It's difficult. I mean, even today I was talking to my psychiatrist, but just the childhood stuff. Just writing
hmm.
about the childhood. Like
Yeah.
I was able to get like all these documents from when I was 7 years old to probably like in my teens up into high school from like all my siblings. So like
Wow.
my youngest on the first document, my youngest brother was 23 months. So you have records of when the police kicked in the doors or
Mm,
social services would or a social worker would visit our school and like talk to me and stuff that I just didn't remember. But like
mm,
having to like read those documents and kind of relive it is just I mean you don't think about it. I mean you don't think
yeah.
about it until like you out of it. And I'm just like sometimes I'm just like goodness, like it's just
Yeah.
too sad. And then
It
you
is.
wonder why you want to and I don't know, you have to think about like I had to remind myself why I'm like doing the writing the book and like the
Hmm.
motivation behind it.
Hmm.
Because it is so much, it's so tragic. And it's weird.
Yeah.
I try to like stay away from using the word trauma now because I'm like, I feel like it,
It's everywhere too.
yeah.
Yes.
It's just so I'm
Yeah.
just like so it's just more of like allowing myself to sit with the pain.
Mm.
But I think that one of the best things I did with this book is having I have also a researcher who's helping me
Oh.
transcribe and going through the documents. And
Hmm.
that's been great because she's been like my shield. And I would
Mm.
say like for anyone that's like thinking about doing memoirs, like investing in a good researcher is
Yes.
really great money.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and I think that it gives you now that because you're also a mother, so
Mhm.
like you have that lens of looking back as a mother now. So it's like a I kept finding that when I was writing Undiplomatic, like I would be like, I would never do this now, or I would never,
No.
but you make the best decision at the time that it happens and there's no like I can't go back ever, and so I've just had to be like, this is what happened. And there was a lot of stuff I kept out of the book, but there were some things when I shared it, it was very raw, but it was very important because those are the parts that people identify with, like
Yeah.
Janisha, the amazing person who works at Atlantic, like we love Janisha, but like most people a lot of people that read it will be like, I recognize myself in Janisha at 10 or 5. You know what I mean? And that connects them to be like, but look how her life happened. That could happen with me. And I think that's just so important. You know what I mean? And what I really try to get across. But how's the writing process been for you? Like
Yeah.
do you write every day? Do you write every other day? Like how have you kind of
I
been able
used
to
to write
manage?
every day, but I mean, since last week I was writing every day. But
Oh,
then
wow.
I write maybe every other day because
Hmm.
like when it gets to the hard parts, I'll use my notes and my phone,
Yeah.
and I'll use that as a thing to write. But it's so
Mm.
weird. I don't know if it's happened to you when you was writing, but like sometimes I can just be asleep and then like a thought will come up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't want to like deal with that right now, but I'll just get up and just like maybe write it. Just
Yeah.
I'll try to
hmm
paste it into like the document the next day.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah.
it like comes to me like that of just like random thoughts.
Yeah. That happens. Yeah, that is true. That happened to me too. And then I'd wake up and then I try to put it on paper and I didn't remember it the same. I mean, I still have
Yeah.
this issue to be honest. Like even with Instagram captions, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And I go to do it, I'm like, oh shoot, what was I? And so I started putting a piece of paper and a pencil by the bed. And so
Uh,
now I just roll over and I'll like write it. And then sometimes I don't even understand it in the morning. But I
yes.
think it's so important to do it because I'm just like, that was good, girl. That was really, really good. And so tell me a little bit about what you hope to accomplish with this book that's coming out.
That's a good question. I think, yeah, I think the biggest thing is not is making sure that I'm always writing this, not motivated by my ego. And what
Mm,
I mean by that
Jenisha,
is
that's
that
good.
I think sometimes like when we write, or somewhere like years ago when I was in New York, he asked me a question. He said, "Are you motivated by pleasure or pain, or pleasure or pain?" And I think that's the thing. Like I've always is like when if I'm writing this and I'm thinking like, "Oh my God, this is very beautiful. This is
hmm
maybe I'm going to win an award," then I have to like stop because
Yes.
then I'm motivated by something else, and I think that like I have to
Mm,
just kind of like dial it back. And I think that's been, I wouldn't say the, yeah, actually it is one of the biggest challenges because, like with the Atlantic essay, it was low stakes. It was just like me writing
mhm,
the story and I didn't know how it was going to land. I didn't know. I really did not know what was
mhm.
going to happen. And I think now it's just like, it's like, can you do the same thing over? But having to like silence
Yeah.
those thoughts and just say like, okay, the motivation for you writing this book is because like it goes back to, it's like so cheesy, but it goes back to like, Janisha, you're a vessel. This is not your story, and
Mm-hmm.
the like God or universe is allowing you to tell this story and just
hmm
be grateful for it. But it's just not, not getting caught up into the ego stuff, not
Yeah.
getting caught up into like how many followers I have or how many people
hmm
like the stuff or
Yeah.
like words, and just knowing that like where I'm writing this story is, it just comes from the heart, And that's,
100%.
yeah,
hmm
and that's the, I think that's the hardest thing because
Yeah.
writers is just like, what is motivating us?
hmm
We motivate is because we want to, be praised, but I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
you want to tell the story. That's it.
Yeah. And I love that you say that because I think that you are right on with that and you're honest about it. I don't know how many people are honest about that because those people who want to, get awards, all these things, I think that that's their right, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of that raises then their speaking rate or brings them more clients. And I understand that same way that I felt. But I think that I had done so much therapy work before this book came out around decoupling my validation
Mhm.
from my accomplishments because then if I didn't do something as well, then I'd be really upset at myself. And it's hard with social media because you see people, getting bestsellers or you see them getting praise, you see them on TV and all of these things, and you're just like, well, that didn't work for me. I know for me, it was really hard. And I don't know if we talked about this, but like, Michelle Obama had, put something about the book online. And I was so excited. And she's done that for very minimal books, not a
I
lot.
know, I know.
Almost every book, I think every book she's done that for has hit a bestseller list. Mine did not.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I would never
It
forget, I would
don't.
never forget being like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna, I have to explain this to her. Like I have to be like, and I remember going to talk to her and she was like, Disha, I never was like, you have to hit I was just, I'm proud of you for doing this book. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah.
And I had to like shift myself to be like, okay, that was my last like expectation of someone. And I had to be, the responses that I get from people every day about this book, Janisha,
Yeah.
you write
In
it,
ways, yeah,
strangers,
exactly. Yeah.
like, and just like, gosh, look what my like this messy, like I put it out there and look who's receiving it. You know what I mean? The right people found it. And I 100% know that with your book. Do we know plans of like when it's supposed to come out yet, or do we
I
not know
just,
yet?
I know it's due. But no, I will tell you this though, not to deflect, because I will
No,
say
no,
this,
you're good.
like from my heart to heart, is that your book, and it's weird because I'm just like getting chills
Mm,
thinking about this, is that your book really is a roadmap for
mm,
just, I wouldn't just say for girls, I'll just say for like for almost everyone who
thank
could
you.
who's like the underdog, you know.
Mm,
You talked
hmm
about like the New York Times writing about you in your book. And I think the thing is, what I wanted to say, and I'm sorry I'm like going on a tangent, but
No,
it's just
you're good. This is casual.
you
This
like
happens.
you like you have, it's just like you have that light about you. It's just
Thank
something
you.
about you. And like even when like sometimes I like when I get and this may be really too weird, but even sometimes when I
Not.
get like really depressed or something, I'll go and look at your website and I'll be like, look at Disha, like look at this.
Thank
Like
you.
it's just, I don't know, you just represent just so much
Thank
to
you.
so many people. And
Mm.
I'm trying, I wish I can like say it as like eloquent and articulate, but it is, it's just like you just
Yeah,
have
thank
something
you.
like special about you. It's just like it's
Mm,
light, you know. It's probably,
thank
it's
you.
like, I think if we had like all the greats like at a table before they were greats, like you would just know, like you have that thing. I just can't really put my finger on it, but
Thank you,
it's like
Jenisha.
that, it,
Yeah.
it's going, it'll come like the, you know.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I thank you for saying that because I find myself also awkward and weird all the time. Because
yeah,
I'll be in rooms, I'm like, did I like I'll say something, I'll be like, "Ooh, I don't did they receive like, and I have to, I'm just getting comfortable. That's just the way that I am, and the person that was like that, got to this top role and just being myself. And I like to tell
yeah,
people all the time, like, it's not always fun to be very clear. Like sometimes you're very lonely because you are a little bit different. And that's why I really try to like be like, I bang with the girls who feel that way, or the men or or non-binary people who feel that way, because it is a lonely thing to say, I'm going to be myself. You know what I mean? Because you
mhm,
lose the group mentality. And like sometimes that means not, like I always tell people, not being invited to happy hours or not being included in stuff. And that sucks because you're like the little bit of the weird one or whatever. And I just have to be okay with that because the rooms that I'm invited in, the rooms that I'm in, are where God put me. And I believe in that. And they're wonderful. Like I have this whole London swing about to happen, which is amazing and wonderful. I'll tell you
oh
offline. But
wow,
like,
yeah,
but I think that like that's why your book is going to be so necessary because we need, not just Black women, we need people, period, being very honest because most of people are going through things that little Janisha went through or mid Janisha, whatever. And sometimes when you give people the answers right away, they're like, well, I don't even see the struggle. Are we the same? Or like,
yeah,
I don't even see like, so if I
yeah,
would have put everything in there about being a social secretary, the whole book would have been about being a social secretary. I would have looked like, oh, that's what I have to do to feel better. So somebody else would be like, so I just wanted to be very careful in that. And know that are writing kind of the same, a book that like will have that same effect on people. But I
yeah.
think that,
Because I'm still dealing with imposter syndrome.
yeah.
I wish I
Hmm.
could just shake it off, but
Hmm.
I'm still every day. It
Hmm.
like does not go away.
It does not go away.
And I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I always tell people I manage it, but then I start to feel conceited. Like when I was young, it was like, oh, she thinks she all that. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know why somebody thinks that. So when I start to feel that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me dial it back a little bit. Let me dial it back. Even though I tell people like, make sure you don't dial it back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I'm getting more comfortable with that. And I feel better, but still, it still comes, sometimes, here and there.
But
Um,
think about how many books now, like with people, like other people be able to like read your stories.
mhm, mhm.
You know, it's like it'd be more visual.
Yeah. And even I'm taking a TV writing class. In the TV writing class, I'm writing the pilot to Undiplomatic for fun.
Oh
And it's
wow.
so fun to write it through a character's eyes, you know what I mean? And be like, and somebody read it like and they were just like, this is amazing story. I can't believe this is your, I'm like, I know, like it's crazy,
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about me. That's not why we're here. Uh, but I do want to ask you, because I do have a lot of mama friends. I do
Mhm.
want to ask you the balance between being a creative and being a mom. Like, can you tell me a little bit about how you navigate both of those things, how they influence each other?
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of families, a lot of parents go through this when they're trying to, you
Yeah.
know. be creative, and also like parent, So yeah.
I think, I wish I could say, I wish I had a direct response because I really don't think I have a balance yet. Because my son
Mm.
is 3,
And
and
we love him. Oh, Benjamin, we
oh,
love
thank you. And the thing is, I think I'm always, I think what maybe the thing I'm balancing more is just, it's like when I travel or when I have to leave or go to events and not, and I of kind of like making the mom guilt just
him.
be silent. And like I have to tell myself, like, Janisha, you doing this for the family, you doing this for your son.
Mm-hmm.
This is like it's larger, it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, even with working. I mean, sometimes like when he's and I feel bad, like sometimes when he's and it's time for him to go to sleep, I'm like, okay, I hope you hurry up and go to sleep so I can work on this story, or like,
Uh-huh.
or if I'm reading, like I'll watch a TV show with him, but I'm really behind him reading something.
Mm-hmm.
And if he catch me reading, then I'll feel bad. So it's just me of just trying to find, I don't know, just the time. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
always, I don't know. That's a hard one because I'm always feeling like I'm failing. Like if
Yeah.
I think Shonda Rhimes talked about it. Like she was like, if she's at her daughter's recital, then she missed the deadline, and I think it's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
That I don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I
Mm-hmm.
quite balance it for him or how I'm trying to get it. And even like one other thing I deal with is just like him being the only son, being the only
Mm-hmm.
child, and like sometimes I'm just like, oh gosh, like I just feel so bad because I'm more than likely not going to have any other kids, and
Mm-hmm.
like he'll just be here by himself, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like all this. It's just I don't know. It's all kind of stuff. It just I
Yeah.
don't know. It just maybe having a good partner
Mm-hmm.
that can support you or
Mm-hmm.
take some of the load off. Sometimes that helps.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that like a lot of times I can tell my husband I'm like, oh, I got this work event, like
Mm-hmm.
you go pick him up or like I'll be home late and he'll be like, oh, okay, cool. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fortunate in that
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like I have someone who like his dad is more than like an active father. He's very involved and like
Mm-hmm.
devoted. And he does stuff. He cooks, he vacuums, he does a lot of stuff. And then
Yeah. So we
like
love
stuff that I
that.
don't necessarily have to
You're like,
worry about.
we
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
I think that I've been very fortunate. Like I don't take
Mhm.
it lightly that in that
Yeah.
sense of like even when like Benjamin was like a baby,
Mhm.
like I can leave him with my husband and not say, oh my God, like I gotta get home because my husband
Yeah.
doesn't like I
Yeah.
think he will be okay.
Hmm.
That's good, but
But yeah.
I wish I could.
And you know what? And I think that's what everybody feels. It's like, you know
uh,
what? I always say like you've never been in this space before, right? Like you
no,
haven't, been a parent before. This is the first time having a 3-year old, so you are learning as you go and doing an amazing job doing it because he is a vibrant, very vibrant, like fun child. Like he
thank you.
is
Yeah.
happy. Like, listen, he can come to all my events.
Oh yeah,
For
thank
people
you.
listening, one time Benjamin he came to an event with we were doing something and he came and he was fun. He was great. He like brought some life into the space. So it was fine. But I think I'm gonna end really asking about how we can support you, Janisha.
Mhm.
How, people listening can support you. Or just storytelling with Black people in general.
Oh yeah. I would definitely say buy people's book,
Hmm.
pre-order, like you always say.
Hmm.
And then like this, I appreciate this. I appreciate you, thinking about me in the middle of it, like in the middle of like writing this book, and you like, oh, let me just talk to Janisha, let me interview her, just being remembered. Like I think
Hmm.
I'm like super grateful. And I think how you can support, just like how you just being Disha. Like I'm telling you, you laughing, but I love when you in your mode, you dancing with the kids. Because that photo you
Hmm.
posted when you was dancing with the kids on stage,
Hmm.
like you posting, like updating and just doing all type of work
Hmm.
to just like uplift people, like that kind of stuff also inspires me of just like seeing other like
Hmm.
women, other Black women like win. But
Hmm.
I just think like how you are. I love who you are and love what you represent. Like
Thank
I'm
you.
telling you, like
I,
you,
I mean, I love you so much. I'm so happy we met because I love you so
yeah.
much because I think that we're very similar in many ways. And I just had to be like, you know what? If I look silly, if I do whatever, if it's not the right aesthetic, if it's not the right color or font, like I had to give all that up
Yep.
because it was just too much. It was too much, and it wasn't me. Like, a lot of people are like, you should do this, and I'm just like, I understand what you're saying, like, but I just want to be me. Like, I just want to be myself, and sometimes that's just dancing with the kids, and sometimes that's like, putting up something fun. Because to be honest, I don't social media I'm trying to use for good,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
hard
yeah,
because I don't like being on it every day. But I'm thankful that I've had the childhood that I've had, and I've had the strength, the growth that I've had to be like, I'm comfortable being myself. And so it's hard sometimes, but every day, every single day, somebody comes up to me, or somebody reaches out to me. It's just like, thank you for being yourself. Thank you for
Mhm.
doing. So I'm just like, you know what? I think this is working for me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I still have a
yeah,
lot
thank
to learn,
you.
but this is
Yeah.
working for me. And that's how I feel about you too, Janisha, which is
Oh,
why I wanted
thank
to
you.
interview you.
Thank you.
Because I was like, I'm gonna turn it back on her. So I'm gonna end the recording, but I want to thank you while we're on camera for just being
Okay.
you, being who you are, being my friend.
Thank
I know
you.
we have the spa to come up to soon.
Yeah, I know we still do.
I
Yes.
know, but I'm gonna stop the recording. But thank you, Janisha, so much from Kentucky, and
Okay.